Hi, this is Kevin Trainer. Welcome to my tutorial on installing Anaconda on Windows 10. And I'm recording this for the students in my Python related courses. Uh, if you're a YouTuber who just happened to find your way here, most of the value here is going to be for my students, but you're certainly welcome to stay. Um, Okay, we're going to learn how to install Anaconda on Windows 10. Um, let's get started, and I'll kind of explain myself as I go along. So to do that, we're going to have to download the Anaconda software from the Anaconda site. So let's open up the Edge browser. I'm using this because it's the standard one for the operating system, not because it's my favorite. And let's try double clicking again. Here it is. And let's go to anaconda.com. And here we are. Okay. So on the menu here, click on products. And as you'll see, there are several different editions that are available. Now, this is a new development at Anaconda. They've kind of repackaged their products. And it turns out the free version of the one that we want is individual edition. So we're going to click on that. And as you can see, there's a little bit of an introduction. It says it's your data science toolkit. Now, is this a data science course? Well, I'm actually recording this at the beginning of the summer semester 2020. And the next course that I'm going to be teaching is a Python programming course at the iSchool at the University of Illinois. And it turns out that we're not really doing data science per se in the course, but of course, Python has really become the favorite programming language of data scientists, or a favorite certainly. And one part of using Python is that you need to collect up the Python packages that you're going to be using in your current project. And you typically bundle them up in this thing called a virtual environment. And for people who are eventually going to do data science, I think that the best way to do this is using Anaconda. So that's the reason that we use it in my Python course and a lot of my other courses. Are there other ways to bundle these things up into these virtual environments? Yeah, there are other tools to do it. I think the most favorable one for people who are on the kind of learning and career path that my students are on is Anaconda. So that's what we're using. So we want to click the download button. And now we get down to versions, okay? And there's a couple things here. Of course, we want the Windows version. And there are two groupings, one for Python 3, one for Python 2. We only use Python 3. Python 2 mercifully has reached the end of its life, and there are certainly people who still have code that's written in Python 2 who are slowly getting off of Python 2. But as it's reached the end of its life, the place to be is Python 3, and that's where we work. Okay. Um, um, when you think about versions of things, okay, I just want to point out that um, this tutorial video is going to have a life of approximately a year. Okay, so if you're playing it next week, okay, um, the version of everything that you're using is probably going to be the same as mine. Okay, I'm using a Windows virtual machine while I'm doing this on my Mac. Uh, the virtual machine has all the updates applied. Okay, so we have an up-to-date copy of the Windows 10 operating system. We're going to download the newest version of everything that's available today. Well, what if you're doing this half a year from now or a year from now, and you get options that are a little different? Well, here's my general rule. Unless I've warned you off of some kind of a newer version, just take the newer version and have some patience with dialogues. It might be slightly different. Some of the windows that pop up could be a little different. Um, that's okay. Okay, so generally take the default options and take the newest available versions of things, unless I've warned you against that in the course materials. So what are we going to do? Well, I have a 64-bit version of Windows 10. Um, there are 32-bit versions of some Windows operating systems. I guess there might be 32-bit versions of Windows 10. I haven't seen a lot of them. You pick the one that's appropriate for you. I'm going to pick this 64-bit, and now it's going to download. And I want to save this, so I click save. And this actually downloads pretty quick, so I'm not going to pause or anything like that. It runs a security scan. And now we're done. So we're going to open the folder. That'll be the downloads folder. And let's see, we have some old downloads that I did a while ago for browsers. So let's get rid of those. Delete. Okay, and here's the installer for Anaconda 3. Okay, now here's the preferred way to install it. Okay, the preferred way to install it is to right click on it and then pick run as administrator. That's going to give us, it's going to put it in directories that I think are most favorable. If you don't have this option, just run it. How do you run it? Well, you double click on it. So instead of simply double clicking on it, what I'm going to do is right click and say run as administrator. And do I want it to make changes? Sure I do, yes. And here we are, we're in the installer. And what I'm going to just do is I'm going to take the various things that we already had open, and I'm going to close them. Okay, and there we are. So this is just kind of the splash panel for the installer. I'm going to click on next, and then I have to agree to the license. And if you're installing it as the administrator, the radio button for all users is going to be chosen, so keep that. If you were not able to run it that way, you're going to have just me, okay? And that's okay. So just pick the one that you're able to use, and then we're going to click the next button. And here's where we see the destination folder. And of course, it's going to be different on the basis of whether you're installing it for everybody, like I am here, or just for you. If you do for just for you, it installs it into a directory that is under, in the directory path is at least one directory that has a space in the directory name. And there'll be a warning that pops up that says that's not optimal. Well, if you can only install it for yourself, then that's what you're going to have to pick. Here, since we're installing it for everybody, it picked a directory, and you can see a program data has no internal space in the name, and that's going to be fine. Program data Anaconda 3. You don't have to worry too much about that because I'm going to show you how to find the directories that were used after the fact. Okay, so we're just going to click on Next. And of the two checkboxes here, the top one is unchecked. Leave it unchecked. Um, the option is appealing, but it turns out it's not the optimal way to do it. So we just want to have the bottom one checked. That's the default. Click on Install. And it's going to start installing. I'm going to pause until we're ready for the next step. Be right back. Okay, we're back. And that took a while for me. I've got a pretty fast machine here, and it took about 4 or 5 minutes. So that's what I think it should take for you, depending upon how fast your machine is and, well, how fast your internet connection is and that kinds of things. Okay, we're going to click on Next. And I don't think it heard me there, so I'm going to do it again. There we go. And this is just an advertisement for using Anaconda and PyCharm. And oddly enough, that's what we do in my Python related courses. So we don't need to look at that anymore. That's where we're going, even without that. And then we're going to click on Next again. And there's a tutorial that can come up, learn more about Anaconda. I'm going to leave them checked so you can see what happens, and I'm going to click on Finish. Because we checked the boxes there, or we left them checked, it's going to fire up the browser and give you access to the documentation that it offered you. We're not going to refer to that right now, but it's offered up. So let's close the browser. Okay. Do I want to close all tabs? Yeah, I think I do. Okay. So one of the challenges that practitioners have in working with these Python virtual environments is that they lose track of where they are in the file system. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the easiest way when you're working with Anaconda, the easiest way to remind yourself where all this stuff is. Okay, and it's to use the command line version of Anaconda. So let's do that. So let's go down to the bottom left to Start. And there's a grouping here for Anaconda 3 64-bit. Let's open that up. Okay. And there's this thing called Anaconda Prompt. And it's going to open up a command line prompt. Anaconda PowerShell is going to do a similar thing for PowerShell. I'm not a PowerShell person. I don't know whether you are. You can feel free to try that if you have a PowerShell experience. But we want Anaconda Prompt, so we're going to click on that. And before we click through, I just want to point out that this is a thing that you might want to use from time to time. So let's get it down in the taskbar. So let's right click, okay, and we don't want to pin it to the start panel. We want to go to More and pick Pin to Taskbar. And now you're going to see it pop up down here in the taskbar, which is temporarily obscured, unfortunately, by my the dock for my Mac. So these are the challenges of working with a virtual machine. Here we go. Uh, let's just make that there. So, so you can see that it is on the taskbar. So let's click that now. And we're going to go to a command line. And what you see at the prompt is you see your current directory, which is my home directory. You'll be in yours. And over here on the left in parens, uh, if you have an expression in parens over here on the left hand side, it's the name of the virtual environment for Anaconda that's currently activated. And right now the base environment, which is pretty big, is currently activated. Okay. All right. So how can we find out where all the Conda stuff got installed? Well, turns out that there's a command. The Anaconda executable is called Conda. So it's Conda space info return. And here we go. A whole bunch of information about the version, but among other things, it shows you where the directories are. And we're particularly interested in these envs. These virtual environments are called affectionately envs, ENVS. And it shows the directories. And it's a combination of directories that are part of that C program data Anaconda 3 envs. And some things that are in my own directory, which is C users, my name or ID, app data, local, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that looks good. Okay. So we can always come back here and we can find out where the directories are to look for things. Another question that people have from time to time is what are the what virtual envs have I created and where are they located? Okay. And to do that, we type conda space info space and then dash dash envs, ENVS. And it'll do a little thinking and it'll show us what virtual environments we have. And of course, we have the base virtual environment. That's what was built when we installed it. We don't have any others. And if we wanted to go find it, we'd see it's in C program data Anaconda 3. Okay, that's fine. We don't want to use that yet. So these commands that we're using are the Conda command line commands. And you might ask, well, how do you find out about those? And we're not going to, these are the only ones that we're going to use, but let's say you wanted to find out some more. You would want this thing called the Conda cheat sheet. Which is how I learned how to do all those things. So let's open up the browser again and let's do a search for Conda cheat sheet. And let's see what we can find. Make it bigger. Just want a little more room here. Sometimes with a virtual machine, I don't think I've really optimized all the parts of this, but you'll get the problem that things that you're pointing at, you're a little bit off. Images for Conda cheat sheet, let's not go there. But let's go to Conda cheat sheet right here. And there's a link to download it. So we click on that, and down here at the bottom, we'll say that we want to save, and it'll download it. And let's open the download folder, and it's just called Conda cheat sheet. And again, uh, in my classes, we don't typically use a command line version a lot. We typically use the graphical version, which we're going to be on to in a minute. But if you want to learn the command line stuff, you can use the cheat sheet. And interestingly, where do you find out about Conda info? Well, it's the first uh, thing that they show you on the cheat sheet. There's a lot of other things here that are potentially useful. Okay, so that's the kind of cheat sheet, and that's how to find it. All right, so how are we going to build these virtual envs if we're not going to do it at the command line? Oh, and I'm going to just going to leave this open. I'm going to minimize it, but we'll be back to it. Okay. Well, turns out that there is a graphical program, a typical app, typical Windows app, called Anaconda Navigator that we're going to use. So let's go back down to the left at the bottom to start, and let's find the Anaconda 3 grouping. And there's Anaconda Navigator. And again, I'm going to want a shortcut to that on the taskbar too. So while we're here, let's right click, more, pin to taskbar, and you can see it arrive in the taskbar. So I'm just going to escape out of that dialog, and I'm going to go down and click it on the taskbar. So it starts a little sluggishly, even on my machine, but it will be up soon. Never fear. This green patterned circle is the Anaconda Navigator logo. And you can see we're loading a bunch of things. And here it is. So what we would like to send them data to improve Anaconda. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, and don't show again. And what we're going to want to do is over on the left side, there's a navigation panel, and we're going to want to click on environments. This is a list of all the environments that we have. And the base environment, which is also called root, is the one that's currently selected. It's the only one that we have. Okay. And why don't we use the base all the time? Well, first of all, it's big. And there's a lot of Python packages in it. Okay. The other one is that we want to create a virtual environment just for the use that we have. So today I'm doing this because I'm going to be teaching a Python course. So we're going to create a virtual environment for the Python course. And that's going to not have so many files in it. And it's also going to be a kind of a point in time snapshot. So it's going to get the current version of all that stuff, and then that's going to remain the same as long as I use that virtual env. If I want to refresh that, I can. If I want to add more packages to it, I'm able to do that too. But it creates a stability that's important when you're using it. Okay, so let's create a special one just for the Python programming course. So we're going to go down to the bottom of this middle panel and click on Create. And it pops up a dialog box where we have to give the new environment a name and pick some options. Now, in my class, we use a standard name for the environments we use. The one for the Python programming course is called E4 Trainer Python course. And the names that we use are all lowercase words divided by underscores. So all lowercase e, number 4, that's short for environment 4, underscore trainer, my name, T-R-A-I, I don't know how I did that, Trainor, underscore Python, all lowercase, course. Okay, that's what we call it. Now, in terms of the options, Python is already checked. We're going to get version 3.7. That's what we want. Okay. Um, that's the current supported version that we've got in Anaconda, and that's what we're currently using in my Python course. Do we want any of the files related to the R programming language? Well, not for this course. So it's just fine the way it is. We give it the proper name. We make sure that we have a check for Python and we're getting the 3.7 version, and we click create. And I'll call your attention to the lower right. Okay, you can see over on the right hand side, you can see a blue, I just want to, let me do this, make this a little smaller. That was not what I wanted to make smaller. I wanted to make I wanted to make something else smaller. But on the right hand side of this is a blue, let's make it a little smaller that way. Apologize for the bad behavior of the virtual machine. We'll get it. What we're looking for is the right hand side of it, and it seems to be elusive. There it is. We've exposed the right hand side. So you can see now at the bottom, there's a blue bar that shows data downloading activity. And so what's happening is it's fetching the Python packages that we have asked for. And we're going to see this, we continue to work down here until the virtual environment is completely built. Okay? And that's going to be fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pause until that's all resolved. Be right back. And as soon as I paused you, it came back, but now it's loading some things again. You can never win. Okay, so here we are, E4 Trainer Python course. I think it's already selected, so the one that it built, it's selected. So we could go back to base, click on that. Okay, or we could go back to E4 Trainer Python course. And we're right there. It's a little sluggish today. Only when you do a demo do things get sluggish. And then let's go to E4 Trainer Python course. And I guess you know you're there when you get this little triangle. Okay, so we've got, we're not currently showing E4 Trainer Python course. Okay. Are we here? Yeah, we're here. Now, so we have a page full of packages. The most important one to us in the short run is Python. And you can see that we're using 3.7.7. And that is it. Okay. Now, would you build other virtual environments? Yeah, if you were in a different course or you were doing a project for yourself, you would come in here and you would do the work to build exactly the virtual environments that you want. But for today, we're just going to do the one for the Python course. So we're going to close here. and say, yep, it's okay to close. And now let's go back to that uh, command line prompt, the Anaconda 3 command line prompt. And uh, again, so the question comes up once you have created virtual environments, uh, where are they? People forget, okay? And they've got to point to them from time to time when they're doing things. And the easiest way to find them is to get this uh, Anaconda command line window open and do a conda conda space info dash dash envs. And here we see we've got E for Trainer Python course. It is in it's in a sub directory of my home directory. It's in .conda envs E for Trainer Python course. Okay, so let's exit this and let's go try to find that in the file system. So I don't have an easy available icon for the File Explorer. So let's go create one of those. Let's go down to the bottom, go to Start, down to Windows, down the bottom, Windows System, and there's an icon for File Explorer. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to pick More, Pin to Taskbar. So now I've got that down there too. As much as I like that menu system, I don't want to be over there all the time. So let's click on the File Explorer, open it up. Okay, and let's try to find our way. So let's go to this PC, double click on that, and then local disk C, and they've got users, double click on that, and my name. And you can see that the .conda directory is visible. Okay, now that's fine. Okay, if it turns out that you get there and you can't see it, all right, the way to make hidden files visible is to go up to View. Okay, and then over here there's a checkbox for hidden items. Now if I click on this, you'll see that I'll see even more hidden files and things. Watch the list get longer. Okay, so you can probably get to the Conda directory without having to do that, but that's where that is in the user interface. So let's open up .conda. And then we don't want this environment's text document. We want to go to envs. Okay, and there's E for Trainer Python, of course. And there's a lot of times when you're looking to hook up, like when we go and we install PyCharm, which is the next of the tutorials, you're not only looking for the directory for the virtual environment, but in particular, you're looking for the Python interpreter. So just while we're here, how would I find the Python interpreter that's in this virtual environment? Well, I'd give it a double click and I'd come down and it's down in the files that are just inside that virtual environment directory. And it's a file called simply Python. Okay. Now you might think that you want the file called Python 3 or Python 3.7, but you don't. This is actually the one that you want. That's how to find your way to it. And we'll do that again when we get to the next tutorial. So that's it. Okay. I'm going to close this. you have everything that you need to you've got a virtual environment that you'll be able to hook up with PyCharm in the next of the tutorials. So I'm going to say bye until next time. Bye bye.